Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Good to see you out there. My name is Paul Tranny. As you can see, as it says below, we're going to dive into today's Photoshop challenge. So I want to welcome everybody. I'm so glad you guys are here. This is all about 3D and 4D text, which sounds a little crazy. But yeah, we're going to import some 3D type from Illustrator into Photoshop and add effects to it and everything like that. So that is the plan. I'm going to switch over. If you're joining me on YouTube or elsewhere, I'm mainly watching behance.net/live, where I see Afrosia, Christelle, Sean, and Delphine as well. Cool. So, okay, so you in the description below, you can see that there is the starter file, which has a lot already in it because I really want to focus on animation. All right, and that's the 4D is animation. So just go to that link below for the starter file. You'll get something like this. All right. I'm going to show you how to make this in Illustrator, but this is a Photoshop daily creative challenge. So that's why we're going to kind of still focus on Photoshop. All right. Thank you so much, Sam, for posting that link in chat. But right here, 3D and 4D text, that's everything I just said, which is great. Right over here, we can just turn off that info folder or layer group. And then we have these three lovely files. We kind of move that around. We can see what's what, we kind of move them up if we want to. You get the idea, right? How are these made? Well, just you could easily, and again, I probably did too much work right in here. Just double click on any one of these. We'll double click on make. It'll open up Illustrator because this happens to be an Illustrator file, and this is actually 3D text in Illustrator. So this is your bonus for today because again, we're focusing on Photoshop. So I don't want to spend a lot of time in here, but I'm just going to use the type tool, right? We're going to click, we'll type in make, right? Here's my text. We'll obviously like change it, do all that fun stuff that we want to it. I'm actually going to change the color, and then we're going to make it just thicker because I like really weighty, heavy fonts like this that really stand out so we can see the sides and all that stuff, right? So again, I'm in Illustrator, and I know this is a Photoshop stream, so don't get mad at me. I'm sorry. Okay, but here we are, make. Now we'll go to Effect, 3D, and Materials. And then we have all of these. And then we have the classic versions. To actually make the one I made, I used the classic Extrude and Bevel. Anki, this is just bonus, by the way, so don't worry. Extrude and Bevel, we'll go into that. It's going to open up this new 3D and materials panel. Oh, Philip, don't be angry now. Oh, this is like bonus material, right? And the key thing is, yeah, they're very much a pair. That slider is a variable concept font. So there we go. There's your 3D text that you can kind of rotate around and manipulate all you want in Illustrator, right? So that's kind of where this is at, right? And that's how it's basically done. And again, I could use these custom rotations, things like that. Okay, so you take that, you copy it, you paste it into Photoshop, right? Just like I did here. Took this, copied it, and I also wanted to kind of point out if I had other text or I had a shape, right? I can paste these both in, and we're still working on this, but you can have Illustrator graphics. You can copy them and paste them into Photoshop, and this is brand new, by the way. When I paste it in, I'm given this layers, paste as layers. So this will preserve the attributes of the layer structure and relative positioning. Not for everything, but we're doing our best, and there's more we need to add. We'll click OK, and this is what happens in. So some of the content might be rasterized. I'm like, okay, cool. And there it is. There's that make. There's that layer group. Here's the rectangle that I can change the color for. And then it did rasterize the text. So copy and paste from Illustrator to Photoshop, even if it's a 3D object, right? you can paste that in as well. Okay. So we do have the case where is a, 3D, but 3D in Photoshop is being discontinued. That's why I pointed it out in Illustrator, right? So if anything isn't working, that's kind of why I'm not covering it, decided not to cover it, because again, it's going to be discontinued. Why? Because you just saw 3D in Illustrator. We have Dimension. We have Adobe Substance Stager. We have so many apps with 3D that actually create 3D. Like, do we need to bog down Photoshop to do that? So we'd rather consolidate our resources and make one kick butt 3D app. Okay, so let's move on. Thank you, Philip, and I do apologize. That I did cover another program in a Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, in a Photoshop Typography Challenge. Okay, you can create something like this if you wanted to. So you can go in, you can click, and you can type in makers. Since I've been going so fast, per usual, per 12 cups of coffee or whatever, right? And we could do Command T. We could maybe skew this or something like that. So we could skew this like so. And we should be able to do, and this is kind of tricky, but I could jump this layer, Command J, and I could have this second layer. This text can be a different color, right? So I can manually start to create those, I don't know if you'd call them ribbons or whatever, by offsetting text like this, right? That's one way to do it. Let me show you the fast way of doing this. Anytime you want to do a step and repeat, I'll do Command J. Actually, let's not do that. I'm going to hold down Option Command T. Then I'm going to move this and hit Enter. So we Option Command T or Alt Command T, and then you hold down Shift Command T. Hold on. And then you hold down Option Command T, plus you add Shift, and that does your repeat. Oh, it should do it. I know. It did it a second ago. Oh, it's because I screwed it up. Oh, Paul. Let's try that one more time. Option Command T, we move it. Shift Option Command T, and then we're making all of our duplicates, right? There you go. And then I can easily change all of those and all that fun stuff. Cool. Cool. All right, everybody. Breathe. Option right arrow. Yeah, that works too. To move it. Oh, that's good too. Oh, you are my new best friend. Shout out to whoever just said that. I'm reading chat, just so you know. Whoever said option right arrow. RB, thank you so much for that. So holding down the Option key, like in Illustrator, will duplicate it as well, right? So yeah, it's super cool. All right, so we ended up with this. Again, RB for the win. Let's get that out of here. We end up with this 3D or 3D-ish. Okay, so you could do it with an action too, whichever you prefer, right? I like my copy and paste way. Seems to work well. Actions I end up breaking all the time, but RB, you're the man. All right, so we have this layer. In fact, I'll get rid of this. We have 3 layers. I'll even get rid of this whole folder because we don't need that. I'm going to keep this very nice and simple. Maker's gonna make, right? Now we want to animate this. So this is adding the 4D. So it's like, XYZ is 3D, and then the 4D is adding time, right? So we'll go to Window. We'll add some time in the form of a timeline. Shaboom. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, RB. I'm so glad we're doing this, by the way, because I know that what you just mentioned, RB, that does work in Illustrator. In both those cases, holding on the Option key and dragging will duplicate an item. Also works in Photoshop. And I forget that all the time, by the way. All right, so what do we get? We get this lovely timeline that happens to be behind my head. So let's slide me over. Whoa, slide me over. And here we have it. We have our lovely timeline right down here. Currently, it's about 4 seconds, right? And if yours doesn't have this, just go to not panel options. I'm not trying to figure out how to... it should ask you right in here when you first open this panel, it'll ask you if you want to do a frame-by-frame animation or a video animation. Choose video when you get those two choices, right? I could always change that right up here, but I don't want to convert it back. I don't want to convert it to a frame-by-frame animation because I'm not making an animated GIF where there's, you know, I'm doing sort of cell animation one at a time, right? Taking a look at anything else down here, you could set the timeline frame rate, of course. It's 30 frames per second. And I want to kind of expand this out. So this is going to go for 4 seconds. I'll click play. Nothing happens, right? But I do want to be able to see this a little bit better. So let's just talk about sort of adjusting this in terms of size. We can grab this little slider right down here. And again, today is 2-for-1 day, just so you know, because these same controls are also in After Effects, okay? So we'll scrub that over there just to give us like a nice big view of this. All right. Ooh, some people are not given the video options on M1s. Just read that comment in chat. I did not know that. Okay, so we're going to start out with the bottom one, makers, okay? And notice if I twirl this down, I get 3 different options. And it depends on what the layer is, whether it's a text, shape, pixel-based layer. Currently, this is a pixel-based layer. You're going to get these 3, right? Position, opacity, style. Luckily, that's all we need. Take a nice drink of our lovely peppermint coffee. And I'm going to create this animation that's going to slide in and out, right? So it's going to be like a looping video animation that I'll post to Instagram. So what I want to do is I want to place my timeline marker about halfway down. It's actually, this is a 5-second animation. So we'll go about 2 minutes and 15 seconds to be exact, because I could see it right down here. 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Now I can go ahead and add position. Boop. There's my position keyframe. It says, hey, I'm going to be at this position at this point in time, right? Then what I want to do is I want to go back over here and I want to scrub. So I want to actually take this. I want to move this. Remember, I'm working on makers. In fact, I'll turn off these others just so we could see it. I'm working on this one. I now want to take this and I want to move it down, right? And I can move it completely off if I want to. Okay? But what happened when I did that? Right, there's my keyframe that is created. And again, it's going to be like at this position at this point in time. So what happens? Sure enough, it's going to slide up like so. Hit the space bar, we can see it slide in. Let's see if we right click. From there, we can still kind of tweak this a little bit more. As well. So we'll get into finessing later, but I also want it to animate out. So I'll scrub clear to the end. And then actually maybe I do want to sort of slide it off this way. Let's have it go all the way through. So I'll just move it off like so. Okay. Now we can see spacebar. It's going to slide in and then it goes all the way out. But we actually want it to pause right here. Okay. Or just like be at the center point like a little bit longer. What you can do is you can copy. Let's just double check this. Let's make sure we can copy keyframes. So down here I'll just select copy. If you do a copy and paste, it's going to copy and paste the layer. But we want to copy this keyframe because remember it's at this perfect point in time and I want it to stay here for about a second. So it's going to arrive at say 2 seconds and then it's going to stay there till 3 seconds. And now we'll just do a make sure it's selected. Oh, this is going to be a little trickier. Paste. Ugh. Let's do that one more time. Copy right down here. And then let's go to everybody's having fun today. There we go. Keyframes. Let's paste it because it was actually pasting in the actual object from earlier. But now it slides in, it stays there, and then slides out. Right, but what this means to me is I can actually control this a little bit better. I'll actually move this down. So it's going to kind of slide in, and then it's going to kind of float up that way, and then it's going to speed out. So that's the animation that I want, right? Let's kind of watch it. Actually, let's see if we can loop playback. That's good. There's our animation. Pauses, slides out. And Daniel asks for, in chat, asks for keyframe interpolation. I know, you and me both. What he means by that is we want it to ease, like ease in or ease out or both. Totally agree. And now I know who my pros are. I agree. But again, this is like After Effects light, right? So that's kind of where we're at. It's like it's the gateway drug to After Effects, as I like to say. But again, that's working. That's working. Let's do that to all three of these. That's the best way to do this, is just practice. Again, we'll turn on this. Now, the key thing, this is the one thing that's going to screw you up when you start adding animation, is you're going to have your playhead scrubbed in here, and then you'll start messing with layers. And watch what happens if I start typing something in. I'll type in makers. Right? And then you'll like scroll back, you're like, and then you'll look around, you're like, hey, where is makers? I don't see it. I don't see it. What happened? Well, it's because it appears at this point in time. Boop, right there. Beep. Right? So keep that in mind. I do that all the time. Then I'm like, oh yeah, I got to take this. I got to drag it down here and make sure it exists the whole time. Right? In this case, I'll just delete it. Or, hey, you know, I like After Effects Lite because if you threw a newbie in After Effects, it takes some getting used to. This is like After Effects on easy mode. Okay, so we'll go in here. We're gonna turn on these other layers, right? There they are. Remember, this one slides in like that. We're gonna have these others slide in. Again, I go down 2 seconds in, hit this little stopwatch. It adds a keyframe. Scrub in, say 3 seconds, hit this little button. Again, you're learning After Effects here. Here it's going to add a keyframe. Boom, just like that. And these little buttons will allow me to jump from one keyframe to the next. So I could go, boop, jump back, right? So go back to the beginning. We'll move this off like that. We'll turn off make, just so we could see that, and move that down like so. Right? And then at the end, what do we want this to do? We want it to slide off this way. Again, just kind of having fun, and we'll see how this looks shortly. Okay, there that is. There we go, sliding in like so. These are both coming in at the same rate, so how do we fix that, right? Good question. I'm glad you asked, Frank, or whoever. What I can do is, yeah, I can move this keyframe in, say 20 frames. So now it's going to be delayed like so. Another thing you can do is you could actually make sure this also doesn't exist. So you can grab the, I don't know if these are the ends. So you're doing like a trimming the ends and make sure it starts right there. So again, makers, it's going to, first off, what I do is I create the animation and then I start tightening all of it up. All right, so we got that. Those slide in, those slide out. Last one, we'll do this quickly. We'll turn off these other ones. And do what we've been doing. Add a position. Add a position. Scrub to the beginning. Move it off. Right? So you notice you'll start to get faster in here. Move that off like so. Go to the end. Move it off that way. Oh, guess what? We don't want this to come in till later. We'll grab this right here, move it here. We'll turn on, and again, we start playing with the animation at this point, right? So now you'll start twirling all of these down and start playing with the timing. So let's do that now. Yes, there's only, as is mentioned in chat, there's only hold keyframes, which we could have done as well, but I only have 30 minutes to cover all this stuff. I want makers to come in faster. What do? We come down here, we grab this keyframe. Hey, come in faster there, buddy. You know, it's so boring. It's so boring right here, right? So what I end up doing is like I'll make a very slow, boring animation, and then I'll play it, and then I'll start tightening up all of the speed, right? So again, now this is going to slide in faster, and maybe it doesn't even get there all the way. Maybe we push it out this way. Let's make sure we grab it. Push this down like that. So it's going to appear like that immediately. Floats, right? It's floating. And the same thing for these other ones. He flies in. Oop, sorry. I'm moving both of them. This one slides into there. Floats to there. We'll still kind of move this down here. We'll do that with this last one. Ooh. Like that. Slides in. Floats. And I like this overlap. I think that's okay. I don't know, something like that, sure. Again, just playing with it today. And then they're all going to slide out faster as well, okay? Again, you're tightening up all these animations. I'm just grabbing these keyframes and make sure they slide out like super fast. We'll have makers go first. It's the same process, but they're all going to go slow. Or start a little later and maybe go a little faster. Who knows? Tighten it up, tighten it up, tighten it up. I know you guys, the pros here, the people that do use After Effects really desperately want to use easing. And I'm like, I know, me too. Right? Zoom, zoom, zoom. Guess what? We only now need the animation to maybe only be, say, 4 seconds long. All right, let's do that. Scoot them all in. Hey, just be 4 seconds, huh, buddy? Well, how do we do that? Well, right up here. This is the timeline marker. So we could grab that and bring that in. Right? So we've just made this timeline 4 seconds long. Can we add a wiggle? I wish. You're the one that's going to have to do the wiggling. You can only, it's going to be you, probably not the animation. Okay, so now we need to export it out. I usually go here. I go to export because that's what I'm used to doing. Right down here, render video. Okay, there it is. We'll render it out to my desktop. This must be the size. It is the size, which is perfectly great for Instagram because that's where I'm going to post it. We'll render this video. Since it's only 4 seconds, it's going to go pretty fast. Boom. Again, have fun with this. I want you, especially you pros, like, add more to this as well. This is only the beginning, but let's go ahead and loop this. The animation that we just made. All right, kind of loops. So now it's just a matter of tweaking all of this. This is so great because these are all, you know, these are all just assets. Again, I can start to add more to it. Say, for instance, I don't like how it's white at the beginning. You can add as many graphics as you want. And like I said earlier, let's just jump in here. You know, if I grab a gradient, this gradient is only going to exist at the point in time where your timeline marker is. So just make sure that extends all the way to the beginning. Now we don't have a boring frame in the beginning, and can also change it as well. Right, so that's what I'm doing. And again, since these are smart objects, right, these are actually made all in Illustrator. So if you double click, it'll jump out, open up, obviously, this file where you can add some more to it, right? So that's the idea. Yeah, hopefully you guys like this. I thought it was really fun making it, and I hope you have fun with it as well. Add additional elements, right? Yeah, do what you want. Man, that time flew by. Whew. About as fast as that text flying across that screen, right? But again, add what you want. There was also opacity in there and other things, but yeah, you guys get the idea. Make something cool and post it to the links below. You can see in the description. Share your work. Also, this is part of 36 Days of Type. Oops, I don't have this looping. So yeah, you could do one letter for today's letter if you want to, which would be super cool. How do you open the asset file in Illustrator? You double click it. Just double click on that thumbnail and you'll have it. Okay. If you don't like that, you could always rasterize it. I'm down to my last 5 seconds. Right click and then just rasterize layer, and then it's a raster layer for you. All right, that's it for me, everybody. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me more tomorrow, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks for joining me. See ya.